In this video, we will learn how we can fetch APIs in Flutter using Future Builder and Stream Builder. First, we will be fetching dog image using Future Builder, and after that, we will be fetching Bitcoin price using Stream Builder. So let's get started. This is the API URL that we are going to use for our first task. When we send a GET request to this URL, we will get a response of JSON. It will contain a message that will have a dog image link, and it will also have a status that will say as success. Our main focus will be to use the dog image and display it in our app. So let's use it in our app. So previously I have created this UI. It has a bottom navigation bar and it has only two items. One is Future Builder and one is Stream Builder. First, we need to write a future function that will send a GET request to the API URL from where we are fetching the data. So let's create a new file. Let's make it as API service.dart. Here we are going to write our function. But before that, we need to import HTTP package. So let us use Flutter pub add HTTP. And it will add HTTP package dependency inside our pubsec.yaml file. And after that, when it is done, we are good to go. First, we need to import it, http.dart, and we need to give it as a shorthand as HTTP. Now here we are going to send a GET request to the dog URL to fetch dog image. Here we are creating a future function. The name of the function, let it be dog image. We'll make it async since it's future. To fetch our API, we'll use try catch so that we can handle exceptions or errors. So first use try catch. Here we'll create a response variable. We'll await, and then we are going to send our GET request using http.get. Here we need to pass our URL, but before that we need to parse it. So we'll use uri.parse. Here we'll paste our URL. Now we need to check if our response is giving a status code of 200. It means everything is fine and everything is okay. We are good to go. So first let us check if status code is 200. In the response, we can decode the response. It's in JSON, so we need to decode the response. So let's use JSON decode, and here we are going to pass response.body, and else will return like error in getting result. In our catch, we are going to catch the error, and we can return the error as string. Now if we look at the result or the response that we get, our main focus will be to use the message key. So let us use the message key directly. Here inside response.body, we will pass as message. Now let us create a page where we are going to display the image that we are fetching from the API. So let the name of the page be dog info. It will be a stateful widget. Here we'll have a scaffold. Since our first part is fetching API using Future Builder, so for that, what we are going to do, we are going to initialize a variable that will have a return type of future, and let's name it as future. And then inside our init state, what we are going to do, we are going to call the get dog image function that we have created, and it will be stored inside this underscore future variable. And now inside our body, we can now use a future builder here. Here it's asking for future, and we'll provide underscore future as future. And for builder, we will get a snapshot and a context. There are several cases for a snapshot. The first case will be if snapshot dot connection state is equal to connection state dot done. It means our fetching API is done. We can do anything with our result. So in that case, what we are going to do for now, let us use image.network, and here we'll specify the link. Our link will be in snapshot.data. Our second condition will be if snapshot.connection state is equal to connection state dot waiting. It means it is still loading the data. In that case, we can show a circular progress indicator. Let us swap it with center. Now another case will be if our snapshot has some error. Then we can simply return as a text. It will be data cannot be loaded, and else we can also return a text failed to fetch API. Now we are done. Let's save it. Now what we need to do, we need to link this with our home page that we have here. Instead of this center widget, we'll use our dog info page. Now let us restart our app. Now here our API fetching was successful, and we are able to get an image inside our app. Now what we are going to do here we are going to create a refresh button that will send a get request every time and receive a image link and display it inside our app. So first, let us make it inside a column, and we can also add it in a sized box. Let's give it a height as 400 and width as double dot and width as double dot infinity. And after that, we are going to have another sized box of height 10, and after that we'll have an elevated button. And the child will be as text refresh. Here we need to set the fit as boxfit.cover or fill, anything you like. Now let's add functionality to this refresh button. For that, what we are going to do here, we are going to create a function void refresh. Simply, we are going to use a set state, and we are going to call the getDogImage function and initialize it to our future. Now let's save it and restart the app. Now let's link this with our refresh function. Now let's try to refresh it. So now we are also able to refresh the image. So this is how we fetch API using Future Builder. Now we have completed our first task of fetching the API using Future Builder. Now let's increase the difficulty and move to the second task of fetching real-time data and updating using Stream Builder. Now let's move on to the second task of fetching API data using Stream Builder and updating it in regular interval. For the API, we'll use the free Coindesk API that we get. We don't need any API key. We can simply send a GET request to this URL and we will get this response. And our main focus will be on BPI, USD, and the rate of Bitcoin. So let's use it inside our app. This is a very long response that we are getting after sending a GET request. So what we can do, we can copy the response and visit quicktype.io. Open QuickType, and here we can paste our response. And here let's make it as Bitcoin. Now we need to change the language to Dart and just make all fields required and make all field final. Now we can use this code inside our app. Simply copy the code. It has already generated all the functions for us. Now here we are going to create a new file. It will be Bitcoin model.dart. Just paste it and we don't need to do anything. We need to simply use this inside our app now. Now, to get Bitcoin price data, it will also be a future function and it will have a return type of Bitcoin that we recently generated and use it inside our app. Let's make it as get Bitcoin price. Now here we will neither use try catch nor we will use if else to check the response. We'll use it directly. First we'll create a variable response, and similar to our previous one, we'll await and then send http.getRequest to the URL. Before we'll use URI.parse. Now we'll copy the URL and paste it here. We'll simply use return and return Bitcoin from JSON. This is the function that QuickType has already generated for us. To fetch the data, we need to only pass response.body here. First, let's use JSON decode and then pass response.body. And now it's done. We don't need to do anything. To catch any exception, we'll use try catch inside our Bitcoin page. So let's create a Bitcoin page first. Here it will be a stateful widget. Name will be Bitcoin page. first use a scaffold. So before writing our body of scaffold, what we are going to do, we are going to create a stream controller. Let's name it as stream controller. It will be late because it will be initialized later. And then we are going to create a stream. Let's make it a stream. Here we need to specify the model of stream controller. So it will be Bitcoin. And here also we need to specify the return type of stream. So for that, let's use Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the model.dat file that we have generated. Since we are going to fetch data in regular interval, for that we are going to use a timer. Let's make it as underscore timer. And now inside our init state, first we'll use our stream controller, and there we'll initialize it to stream controller of Bitcoin, like this. And then we also need to use stream, and then we need to stream over the stream controller that we have recently initialized. So this is the stream controller that we have recently initialized, and then we need to stream over it. Now here we need to create a function that will fetch the data and add to stream. So this function will fetch the data first, and then it will add to stream. Here we are going to catch any exception. So for that we are going to use try catch. First here we'll create a variable. Let's make it as Bitcoin. This is a new variable, and we'll await here, and then we'll call get Bitcoin price function that will fetch the API and bring the data. And then we'll use our stream controller, and then we'll add Bitcoin. Now this will add the Bitcoin data that we're receiving to the stream controller. And if we get any error, we can simply add stream controller dot error, add error. Here we can add the error like this. Now in our init state, we need to call the function once. For now, let's call the function for once. Then we'll use the timer later. We'll use stream builder now. We need to specify the return type. It will be a return type of Bitcoin. Here in stream, we'll provide underscore stream. And for builder, we'll get context and snapshot. What we'll do, first we'll check if our snapshot dot connection state is equal to connection state dot waiting. It means our data is still being loaded. In that moment, we can use return center and return a circular progress indicator. Else, if our snapshot dot has an error, then we'll return center, and it will return a text as failed to fetch data. Now else, if our snapshot dot has data, it means we have successfully received the data and we don't have any error. We can return as text for now, center, child as text. Now the price of Bitcoin was inside BPI, USD, and then rate. So let's use it. It will be inside our snapshot dot data dot BPI, then USD dot rate. We need to add a null check here, and our final case will be else. We'll simply use return center text error in fetching data. So now we have done. Let's link it with our home.dat file. Here we need to call our Bitcoin page, save it, and now we need to restart our app. Now let's visit Stream Builder. Here we are getting the price of Bitcoin. Let's verify with the API. So it's giving us the right price. This API updates every 1 minute. So what we are going to do, we are going to use timer and we are going to fetch the API in every 1 minute. So for that, we need to come in our Bitcoin page. Here, inside our init state, we need to add a timer. And it will be timer.periodic. Here we need to provide a duration. Since the API refresh every 1 minute, so here we'll use timer to fetch the API for every 1 minute. And then we'll call this function fetch and add to stream after every 1 minute. So this will refresh the data in every 1 minute. Let me just increase the text size of this. Now what we can do, since we are displaying the data in dollar, we can add a dollar symbol like this, but now we can paste our data. Now it's looking more better. Let us restart the app. Now let's try to use Stream Builder. Now let's wait for 1 minute to check if the API changes. Let's wait for 1 minute and check if the data changes or not. Till that moment, what we can do, we can wrap it inside a column. So notice that our data got changed after 1 minute. This API updates itself in every 1 minute. So for that, we are using 1 minute. For that, we are setting the timer to 1 minute, but depending upon your API, you can use any limit. Now let's just add a asset image here. So here let's create a new file of images. And here we are going to add our Bitcoin image. Now inside our pubsec.yaml, we need to add assets, and then here we need to add images. Now save it. It will run pubget. Now if we don't get any error, then we are good to go. And here first we'll use image.asset, the link of our image, it was bitcoin.png. Let's also add a height of 200 and width of 200, and then a size box of height 20. Now let's save it. Now let's add main axis alignment to main axis alignment.center. Now what we can do here, we can also add a refresh button. So after a sized box here of height 25, we can add an elevated button, and the text will be refreshed. And what we are going to pass, we are going to simply call the fetch and add data to stream function. When we press it, it will refresh the data, or so depending upon the current price, it will show the data. See, so now we have completed our task, and we have also added the refresh button. It will refresh the data, but if the API is not providing or updating the data, it will not show. This was our future builder, and this was our stream builder. But one very important thing is that this is a stream builder, and we are using stream and stream controller. It's very important to dispose all the stream and the controller. So make sure to dispose when there is dispose, then we are going to dispose the timer first, timer.cancel, and then we are going to use stream controller dot close. Now this will close the stream controller. Why we need to add this? Because if we don't close the timer and the stream controller, it will work in our background and it might give some errors. So that's all. Now we have successfully completed fetching our API using both stream builder and future builder. So that's all for this video. I hope you find this video helpful. So thanks for watching.